Your someday starts today. It's time to explore and test the newest science, methods, and trends for creating a life you love with your host, Tanya MFK. Welcome to My Designed Life.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to My Design Life, where we bring you realistic ways to create your best life now and then test them to see what really works. I'm your host, Tanya MFK. Thank you for joining me today. You can watch us every other Monday live right here at 3 p.m. EST, as well as YouTube, Binge Networks TV, IGTV, My Design Live podcast, and all your favorite podcast platforms. And a big hello to our FM listeners at 99.1 FM, WDJY, and WTTA 101 in Kentucky and Ohio. Thank you for tuning in and supporting our show. So today we are going to talk clutter. We all have it, whether it's that messy closet or it's all those thoughts piled up in our mind. And psychologists say that clutter affects our productivity, stress levels, and even our relationships. So we are going to learn what we can do to take action to free our mind and our environment to live our best life. But first, in our last show, I met with financial fitness coach Kristen Recupero, who showed us the first step to living our rich life was mindset. And we know so many people like to roll their eyes at this idea and go, it's not what's in my mind, it's what's in my bank account. And on the contrary, we learned that there are unfortunately many six-figure earners living paycheck to paycheck. So if you think more money is the answer, think again. The habits that you use when you have $1 carry over to when you have millions of them. So let's recap a few of our action steps to create our rich life now. First, we needed to identify what you believe about money and why. Is it greedy? Is it hard to get, hard to save? And why do you believe that? Next, you need to know that your circumstances can change. Because if you are dead set that debt will always be part of your life, then guess what? You're going to be right. And then once you've switched that mindset, it's time to know your numbers. Because you guys, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. So what is the base number that you need to keep your household running, to keep the lights on and mouths fed? And if you don't know that, then you don't know what you actually need. And after that, you need to get to know yourself some more. So take the last 3 months of statements and look at your spending, automatic payments you may have forgotten about, and begin to identify which one of these things were needs and which were wants. And after all that, once you have this awareness, then and only then can you begin to make choices about what to do about it. So if you're not sure, go and find yourself a money coach like Kristen Recupero and get it together. So you can go to the My Design Life show on Instagram and see how my week of tracking spending went and the crazy thing that my husband did on day one and what he bought that day. It was crazy. So anyway, I'm very thankful for Kristen coming and reminding us that we can have anything, just not everything. So we need to decide what defines a rich life to us instead of falling into simply keeping up with what we see from our neighbors or on Instagram and social media in general. So again, go get those tips and create your rich life. But now for today's guest. With a BA in early childhood development and special education, she was a teacher spending her free time indulging in outdoor activities like trail running and mountain biking, which allowed her to daydream about her business ideas. Not able to deny her entrepreneurial spirit, she joined a network marketing company and she hustled her way to the top, only to realize that her wheels were spinning because there was nowhere else to go. Led by her beliefs and convictions of what her true calling was, she took a 180 and began supporting women in business as a faith-based mentor and coach. Now leading a business where she empowers others to break through, get out of overwhelm, and reach their full potential, reaching 6 and 7 figures. She is here with us today to teach us simple action steps to help us clear the pathway to our success through decluttering. So please welcome a woman that embodies what it means to serve others, Heather Dollar. Welcome, Heather.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to be here. I mean, I'm also scared of realizing how much clutter I probably have.
It's a powerful thing that we sort of try to bury away.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So tell me,
one.
how did we get here? How is this? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, okay, like I get it. This might be a little messy. I have a junk drawer, but how is this affecting like my life now?
Okay. So I found myself in a slump in kind of, I mean, in my business, right? Because I work primarily in business, but also just in my life. Like I just felt like I was in a slump and was having a hard time finding joy. And not to be mistaken with, I wasn't happy with things, but I just was craving some joy. I felt like I just was, like just overwhelmed and feeling kind of stressed and just needed some joy. Right. And so I sat down and just began to just reflect on everything. Right. And I sensed the Lord telling me to go clean my closet.
Sounds joyful.
Okay, like that's so weird. And then I heard another mentor say that like that's how her journey to success started. Was she was told to go and clean her closet out. And I thought, well, okay, well, there must be some power behind this, right? And so that's led my journey, started my journey of decluttering my way to success. And so I actually didn't start with my closet, but I found something and I just said, okay, I had this cabinet, right? This kitchen cabinet that was just in the, like immediately when I was thinking about decluttering, it popped in my head, right? And it was like every time you open it, it gives you stress and it gives you anxiety. And that's the feeling that I had every time I opened it. And so
it's the one that has all the pieces to like the food processor and like that one baking
right,
thing
when you try
never
and cram
bake,
as
right?
much stuff in it as possible.
You're like, just don't go in there. That's the one we don't look in.
Right. Yes. Or, oh, I can't figure out where to put this. I'll just put it here.
It goes there. Right. Got it.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, okay, you know what? This has been hovering in the back of my brain. Let me just go tackle this. Let me go just get this cabinet done. Right. And so I cleaned out the cabinet. And from that moment, I immediately felt empowered. I immediately felt, we induce productivity by being productive. And so I began to just realize how just a simple fact of decluttering something that was taking up brain space allowed my mind to declutter so that I now had space for more important things. Right?
Yeah. Well, and it makes so much sense because as you said, like as soon as it was mentioned, like you should clean something, you probably in your forefront of your brain, you weren't thinking about this cabinet, right? But as soon as it was mentioned, it was there. So like it was hanging out there somewhere. Like this thought of this messy like cabinet had been in your mind, taking up space, like you just said. So it was there. And I think a lot of people don't think that. They're like out of sight, out of mind. But the truth is like those things are actually really sitting in there. That I need to clean the garage. I need to go through those receipts. Like those things they're in there. They're just not in the forefront. And we've talked about that a lot on this show, that our brain is filtering so many thoughts and our own thoughts, let alone all the messages that are coming to us. And it has to actually filter them. It has to actually like pick the ones that we think are important. So it doesn't mean that they're not there. It's just our brain is like kind of giving us the highlight reel because we cannot like physically handle all of them coming at once. So I think it's just important to mention, like we have so much in there, guys. You don't think that these drawers are in your brain, but they totally are.
Yeah, they are. And it's a decision, like choosing to declutter something is a decision. And a lot of times we want to run away from decisions because we are faced with so many in a day, And so again, that's another way, like you just take care of that clutter. That's one less decision that you have to make for that day. It's going to free up that space in your mind to make decisions that really matter.
And there is like an avoidance there. Like I'm surprised. I'm like, yeah, it is so much deeper, right? Because you're putting it off because you don't want to look at it. Then you obviously kind of like, rationalize it's not that important right now. And then it's there and it just sits there and it's clutter. It's just that thing that's there that doesn't need to be there. I'm sure like with the storage units, like all those things, right? And you're just going, well, we'll get to eventually, but it's still there mucking everything up. So,
yes, absolutely.
Oh my
it
goodness.
Creates,
an
anxiety within us that we don't recognize. But
Yeah.
then when we go to do something in the presence of that, right? Like let's say it's your kitchen or your office, right? So when we walk into that and we have now associated a feeling of anxiety with that clutter, then we are not going to be able to be productive in that area. We're not going to be able to
Oh,
feel
yeah.
good. We're not going to be able
Yeah.
to thrive, you know?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I know for most of us, we would love to show up in our life and enjoy it, you know, have it bring us happiness and joy. And that's part, that's part of this process, is realizing that taking the time to declutter is bringing or creating space, right? For you to have that
Yeah.
joy and to live in that presence of peace.
Yeah, it's really it's a mental like decision, it's a business decision. As you mentioned there with the desk, I mean, it seems like such a basic, simple thing. And I remember being new, 18 years old. I was working in the medical field. I actually did clinical research for
Mhm.
immunology for HIV and AIDS, and quite a complex situation. I was in the research department, so there were lots of papers. We just started using email. So, I mean, you guys can guess my age then. It wasn't that big of a hot ticket then. So there was a lot of paper. And I was 18 and my colleague was 62. And so, she was my mentor, the one teaching me the ropes of this office. And her desk would just be covered in papers, just covered and covered and covered. I mean, everywhere. And this is research documents. This is like stuff we have to turn into
Oh
the
my
FDA.
gosh.
And it was everywhere. And I remember, she'd spend half her day just like, where was that thing? Oh, where, looking around and frustrated as all get out because you can't find anything. And of course, like you're frustrated, but that's how her day started every single day. And then it got worse. She had to leave on a family emergency and she ended up being gone for 2 months. And so I had to go in and I had to make sense of this mess that was on there. And it's like just the way I think, like from a mindset point, right? You go home, you're tired, exhausted from working all day. You wake up and the first thing you see is just something you have to make sense of. Like it doesn't even, it's like you can't even just get in and get straight to productivity, because now you're just like, what was this? What was I working on 6 p.m. last night? And that, like, these simple little things of paperwork or your notes or whatever, it may not seem like a big deal. You're like, this is just my desk, Heather. What does it matter? I'm going to sign this client. They can't see my desk, but it affects your whole approach, right?
It does. Yeah. It immediately sets the tone for what you're wanting, what you're gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
If you wake up and okay, for example, I don't have right now, I had laundry all over our room, right? At one point. And I just had so much going on. I didn't have a chance to get to it. And it just piled up and it piled up. And finally I realized, oh my gosh, what am I doing to myself here? Right? I've got so much clutter of laundry all over the room here that I can't even wake up feeling like empowered. I wake up and I immediately feel anxious and stressed and defeated because it's like, oh man, I haven't done this. So we get to choose, if we're going to have a successful day or not by honestly what we focus on. So it's like, okay, am I going to focus on just getting this up really quickly so that I can show up in my day and be successful? Or am I going to leave it here and feel defeated and start my day that way?
Right. It is such a mental like mindset and everything. Well, so I want to dive in a little more too as because I think a lot of people are like, well, so my house is going to be spick and span all the time. Like people are like freaking out over here. I got to get it made. Right. But I don't think that's where you're going with this. No. So we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to find out exactly how this works, guys. So if you need to take a break too, don't forget that you can take us everywhere you go, live and uncensored with our UI Media streaming app. Go to uimediaapp.com to watch everything and catch all of your favorite show replays as well. We'll be right back with Heather and Decluttering. See you soon. All right, welcome back. I'm Tanya MFK, and you're watching My Design Life. We are here with faith-based mentor and coach Heather Dollar, and we are learning how to declutter our minds and lives. But before we dive back in, I just want to remind you to like, comment, ask, share this video. We will be checking in with you all soon. And if you'd like to call in and chat with one of us or ask Heather how the heck you're supposed to keep your house this clean, or if that's really what it's about, you can call at 1-678-495-4345. So Heather, before the break, we were giving everyone a heart attack about all the reasons why their messiness is causing not only maybe doesn't look so nice, but there's mental stress and potentially roadblocks to even their business success with this clutter. Mm-hmm. So what does that really mean though? Does everyone's house need to be, Brady Bunch perfect?
Yes, everyone relax, take a big breath right now. Like, it's okay. I want you to know that I'm not an OCD clean person. That is not what my house looks like. But it's more of understanding the impact that clutter has on your mindset and being able to identify your triggers, right? So there are certain triggers that you have regarding clutter. And so once that clutter starts to happen, it's just being able to identify that, recognize it, and take action instead of letting it pile up and pile up and pile up, like the dishes pile up and pile up and pile up, right? Instead, it's understanding like, oh, okay, this is going to trigger me to be really short with my children because I'm constantly seeing this. It's going to set my husband off when he walks in the door, and that's going to ruin our evening. Okay, boom, there's like 3 triggers in one. So take action and say, okay, I got to declutter this. Like, this is got to stay decluttered the best that I can. So, nobody's perfect, right? We do the best that we can.
And that's what you're saying it doesn't have to be everything. It's kind of noticing just the things that create that mental stress.
Yes.
Like, can you give someone some examples of maybe how they would identify if this is so new, they may not associate like this is the thing that's making you feel crazy.
Right.
How would you help them kind of connect those things?
Okay, so we all have 1 or 2 things that is going to do that. It's going to immediately set us off when we see it, or if we see it for, let's say, about 3 days in a row. Okay, it's going to all of a sudden your mood is going to completely change. Okay, or somebody else's mood is going to completely change. Right. If it's their trigger point, right? Right? For an example, my husband, his trigger, as funny as it is the bathroom sink, and so if our bathroom sink is cluttered for more than 3 days, when he sees it, it's almost like he doesn't even see it until we hit that mark. And it's like, oh, it's triggered him. And he's all of a sudden, like, the stress comes out of that trigger point, right? Of the clutter in that one trigger point for him. And and so we've all
mine would be like the clothes. Once the clothes are done out of the dryer and they just sit there and and I'm like, 3 days later, are they seriously still sitting there? Come on.
Right.
That's when I've had it.
Yes.
Totally makes
mine
sense.
Is the kitchen countertops. If I have the kitchen countertops, if they're messy for more than 3 days, clutter, and I'm just talking about clutter. Then it's like your blood starts to boil, like you feel the shift in your energy, and and honestly, like, you can change it just like that by going and decluttering that trigger point for yourself,
Yeah. Well, and there's so much science out there about how our environment affects us, and I'm not just mean like air quality and stuff. I mean, literally like our actual surroundings. There's a reason why when you guys walk into a spa, they don't use traffic sounds, there's a reason why there's not just stuff everywhere and boxes. Like, there's a whole like mental psychology, science research behind this. This isn't just, it'd be nice to have a clean house. Like, this really actually affects our performance. And like you said, when our attitude and our mood, which essentially is our emotions, when that's, in the wrong area, it affects everything around us. It affects how we are with our families. It affects how we're going to feel with our business. And like you were saying, if you're already feeling defeated and just like cluttered, by the time you get up, like, how clear and productive are you going to feel when you sit down at your desk? Like, I can only imagine. So tell us, how would you then walk? Like, how do you walk with somebody like they're kind of going through this and getting through decluttering?
Right. So if you come to me and you are feeling like you're kind of in a funk, let's say you've kind of fallen in a little bit of a funk, like you've got a mood, as I like to call it, right? And you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling a little bit just cluttered, like your mind is cluttered, right? And so I'm going to ask you, okay, what in your house brings you joy, right? What about being in, this environment that's making that you are feeling this way right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about that brings you joy? Okay. And so then I'm going to have them write that down. And then I'm going to look at that and have them identify, okay, if these are the things that bring you joy, then what is out of place? Like what's out of place right now? Because that's your trigger right there. That's what needs to be fixed, because that's going to help you break free from this, space that you're in,
Right.
so that you can have more free space to, to bring back joy into your life and to focus on something that is going to bring you or make you feel motivated, right? Make you
Right.
feel inspired, right?
Well, and just to clarify, like people aren't usually coming to you specifically to go like, all right, my house is feeling messy, right? Like they're coming
Right.
to you usually because they're feeling stuck in a different place, right? Can you explain kind
Yeah.
of what are they originally coming to you for?
Yeah, well, so I primarily work with entrepreneurs, and so they're actually coming to me because they're feeling stalled in their business. And so taking a look at your environment is just one way that we set you up for success, right? And so I want everything that you're doing to ultimately lead you to the successful version of you, right? Where you're aspiring to be. Like, I don't play small. I don't want to see you settling for less than God's best, right? I don't want to see you staying where you are right now when God is calling you to more, right? And so to tap into that potential, we have to work through some stuff.
Right.
And to get
Are people
to
surprised when you start asking about like their surroundings? Are they like, well, what does this have to do with it?
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely, well, no, usually it's more of like breakthroughs, more of like an aha, like, oh my gosh,
right.
wow. You're so
right.
right. I feel so much better after doing that. And oh my gosh, you're so right. Every time I sit down to work, I do feel defeated and anxious, but now I cleaned off my desk and it's changed, And so we get to choose, to go on day after day after day after day, like struggling and trying to get by with, specifically in business, like trying to show up for our business, trying to give it our all, like trying and trying. It's like,
right.
Stop trying. Like, let's just get some stuff out of the way so that you can do.
Right. So once you're getting kind of your physical environment cleaned up, is that just automatically connect to like the mental decluttering, or is there like a second step to get into like the mind clutter?
Well, you'd be surprised at how much does declutter with just the environment. But yeah, then we take it into other things that are cluttering your mind, right? So noise. There's a lot of distractions that come in. There's a lot of things that take our attention, right? I always say where your focus goes, your energy flows. And so we have to pay attention to what we're giving our focus to, because that ultimately, like, that's what we're doing. Like, that's what is happening. Right.
Yes. Well, like you have all those if you have like 10,000 notifications going off while you're trying to write an email or write your blog, it's just, you're going to be over here, over there. Like that's a mental clutter.
Right. And it looks different for everyone. An example for myself is some clutter that I had in my mind was with regards to social media. Right. So I was in network marketing for a long time, and I just had developed this just sour taste for social media, just because I had spent so much time on it. And my negative emotions regarding social media, I allowed them to clutter. So it created this negative state in my mind, or I created this negative state in my mind, so that every time I would get on, social media, or I would go to do that part of my business, I would automatically just feel so stressed out. And so
I think that's a lot of people.
It is. But it's something that we can change too.
Yeah.
I just had too much clutter going on. Like I was attaching too many things to social media, right? And so I needed to get rid of some noise and focus on the right thing at the right time for the right goal. And so we just don't realize how, downloading another freebie can distract us, right? Or add some clutter.
Yes.
Or how, the course that you didn't finish like 5 months ago can clutter up your mind.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. So she's reading me right now. This is so like my kind of clutter, right? Because any of you who know me and Heather knows this, I am a like organizational freak, right? So like everything has a place. I label everything. Like I'm kind of crazy when it comes to that. But what's hard for me to keep the reins on are my files, like my digital files, the Google Drive. Oh my gosh, Google Drive's like the bane of my existence. And I have 3 email accounts, right? So like keeping track of that. And then for the longest time, those freebies, like I was on this mission, like, oh, there's something new I can learn, right? That's a whole other mental state that I have to deal with, was like not just the clutter, but like this search, like there was always something I might be missing. So you're like, I gotta check. Yeah. What if that has a new answer? So going after all those downloads, and then the courses, and then not finishing the course. You're like, I got to finish that course because I'm that type A personality and it's all going to get done. And like, here I am, I'm not kidding you. I downloaded a course like probably 3 years ago, and I still think about that course. And I have my own life coach, and she's like, honey, it's you just let that, no more, like no more courses. So I actually had to go through and unsubscribe to a bunch of people that I genuinely liked, right? So this is another thing, people, when you guys get like, you feel hurt when somebody unsubscribes. It's so not about you sometimes. Like I went and unsubscribed from people I genuinely appreciated their information, but it just added more anxiety to my inbox, where I was like, I got to read all this great information. And I have labels because I'm organized. So I actually have labels that say read or watch, that I label things that are like, oh, this is something I should read or watch. And I would look in and I would just have this like stockpile of these blue labels in my inbox of stuff that I need to read or watch. And I mean, it was too much, like just information consuming. And no matter how organized I was, it was about decluttering. I would say not just decluttering, but decluttering through limiting the access in the first place. That was huge for me, right? Was just like, if I don't see it, if it's not coming to my inbox, I don't know what I'm missing out on.
Right. Well, and
I had to do that.
You hit on something really important here. There's a difference between organization and clutter. Just because you're organized, that doesn't mean you're not going to have clutter. Organization is just the proper arrangement of things.
Of clutter.
Okay. It is. So you can have organized clutter.
So true. My husband's he's watching this. He's like, that's her. She has organized clutter.
I mean,
oh my God, I've been hiding behind it for so long.
Your house can be completely organized, but you can still have clutter,
Yeah.
And so it's really just defining what is taking up that brain space that needs to be eliminated.
Yeah. Gosh, that is so powerful, you guys. I hope you are hearing this. Like, this is like, all of you have been in one of these situations, whether it's the laundry or the digital downloads or the unfinished courses. Like, there is so much there that all of us have experienced in this situation of clutter. So we are going to take a break, and we are going to learn when we come back more about what we can do about this and specific steps to take. So while we go, guys, I want to give you some food for thought. If you like this show and the others on the network, help spread the message of consciousness and unity. For those interested in gaining new skills, how about becoming part of our team? UI Media Network has internship positions available now. So contact us at contact@uimedianetwork.org or call us at 678-495-4345 to learn more. And we'll see you right after this break. We are here with Heather Dollar and learning how to design our best life by getting rid of all the nonsense laying around. Um, we, we have some great comments here. One of our favorite viewers, Robert, says he's covered in papers right now and might need a bulldozer. So some answers for Robert there. And Jack just says he can't hear me over those earrings. And I know they're loud and fabulous. Jeff says he cleans his office closet about every 2 years, and then 3 months later, it's a junk closet again. So I think those are some familiar stories. And Jack and Robert, as you guys just heard, even if it's organized, apparently we're just organizing our clutter. So I think there's the next step. How do you, and actually this is perfect to get here. Heather, how do you deal with it when people go, okay, I believe you, I get it, this needs to change, it's affecting me. I like all my stuff, or I need all my stuff.
Right. Well, and I'm not going to pretend to be, a organization guru or anything like that.
Not Marie Kondo over here.
No,
okay.
Not at all. And so, I'm not even going to go into like how to declutter your life, right? Like that's not my expertise. Okay. But
so
what
your area is just like bringing the information, like, look, this is an area you
and
need
then
to
it's
address.
Right. And helping you identify like what is your trigger? Like what is that one thing? Because we all have it. People, those of you watching the show, like it's popped in your mind already. Like that one thing that when you're done watching this, you're gonna go and tackle it because now you're feeling, inspired and motivated.
You guys are motivated, right? You guys tell me in the comments what you either need to clean or want to go clean now, or hire someone to go clean now.
Yes. And I mean, and that's a good point. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be responsible for decluttering it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to do it, go pay somebody to do it, but it needs to get done. Like, either you need to do it or somebody else needs to do it, right? Yeah. And you made a really good point on it can be anything. Like, it can be your, maybe social media notifications, right?
Oh my gosh.
It can be people that you are subscribing to. And, and we have to be really, really careful because once we get too much clutter from everything we're subscribing to, it can really, really encourage us to lose focus, right?
Yeah, it's overwhelming. And it's not that it's bad things, right? I think that's what you're saying too, Heather. It's like there can be obvious things that are like, yes, it's not ideal to have the cluttered, cabinets or desktops or papers all over Robert, but it's but it can also be the beneficial things, like all the great information coming into your inbox. It could be all the wonderful coupons coming to your doorstep, but that still becomes clutter. And I think there are some serious decisions that you have to make, which Heather's not going to talk, we're not going to go through with Heather, but there's some decisions to make and go, look, if I'm realizing this is a roadblock, I have a choice to make whether or not to do something about it. And it seems like this is one of the easier ones to be like, wow, maybe I don't have the $1 million I want to invest in my business, but if cleaning my desk can help my success, maybe it's time to get over there.
Right. And it's a mindset shift too, like it's a mindset shift. It's realizing that this is affecting who you want to become. And so it needs to change, which is powerful in and of itself.
Well, and you said something in one of our discussions, and I loved it. It was, and I think you heard somebody else say it, but I'm just going to say it because I heard it from you. So Heather said it, and it was how you do something is how you do everything.
Yeah, how you do anything is the way you do everything. Yes. I heard that from a mentor of mine. And at first it kind of taken by it. And I'm like, is that true? Like the way I do anything is the way I do everything. And I started thinking about like everything that I'm doing. And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess so. Like the days that I let the clutter build up, and create that anxiety and just kind of try and push through it. Like that's showing up in everything that I do that day. Right.
Wow.
So if we're being inconsistent, if we're not following through, we're not doing that. We're not consistent in multiple areas of our life, right?
Yeah, it's almost like the psychology they talk about when you like dress up, you're in the tuxedo for the day, all of a sudden the kind of like vibe, changes of how you're acting and how you do for the rest of the day, right? You're a little more bougie for the day. So it's about bringing that into your life through just the simple act of it being clean and calm and mentally, right? Creating that mental calmness, because that's where we're going to do our best work.
Right. Well, and coming, from my faith-based perspective, God is the God of peace. And so when we are trying to make things work in chaos, we're not being godly, essentially.
You're not in alignment.
We're not allowing the peace of God to flow in our lives. We're choosing to stay in that place of chaos. And so to be successful, not only in business, but in life as a believer, like we need to be creating space that welcomes the Lord into our life, that welcomes that peace of God, so that we're not getting caught up in, just chaos all the time. Like that's just stress. That's just stress. And that doesn't leave room for the Lord, that puts our focus in the wrong place.
Right. So, it's really about laying that foundation for everything in mind, body, and spirit to be in harmony, to flow together, to whether it's success in business, what you're searching for in life, all of it comes together. And it does have to do with the clutter of your environment, the clutter of your mind, just what you're putting around you. And I know a big, I think everyone on the network here is a big fan of Dr. Bruce Lipton, who has done extensive research and information about how our environment directly affects not only our mental state, but it actually can affect our genes, are actually changing our biology of our bodies. Yeah. And so there's such a serious direct correlation to what we surround ourselves around, which again, I know in where you are in a faith base, that's absolutely something that's taught there as well, which is, who we surround ourselves around, what we're surrounded around. If we're feeling chaos, if we're putting ourselves around chaos, then that is what we're bringing into our lives. We're allowing into our lives, and it will seep in and manifest, right? So this, guys, that messy counter is a lot more than you think. And I love that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And so if you think about that messy car, and then how you might show up at work, and how you might show up in your relationships, and how you might show up when you remember that birthday or don't remember that birthday, it all comes together. And then the consequences of something as simple as that, you didn't remember the birthday, that person's upset, like it all just spirals. And
not to make you feel overwhelmed that you have to be perfect.
Right. Okay. Right. And that's the difference, right? It's not about perfection, but it's that it can get messy. It happens. I have a toddler. I have a 4-year-old, right? So that's my life.
Life is messy, life is messy. We just have to learn how to manage it better. Mm-hmm. And that's all that clutter is, it's learning to manage it, right? It's
and recognizing the connection, right? I think that's the other part, is that it's easy to go, well, it's not a big deal. And in a way, you're right. It's not until it is.
Yeah. Well, and I see this in the business world, especially, right? Because we get so, especially as moms, because we've got so much, time with our kiddos, right? That we feel like we just don't have much time, and we just have to work, and we just have to work, and we just have to work. And then, we'd rather work than clean the kitchen. We'd rather work than pick up our desk or do whatever it is, clean out that closet. And so there's a place of realizing that in order for us to not feel that way, not feel like, oh, I have to work all the time, is decluttering, is like taking that time to declutter our space so that we're not feeling, and it sounds so crazy how it's connected.
Yeah.
But you can
still, some people are like, what episode did I come on to?
I know, right?
You can, what are they cleaning houses over here?
Like, think about the times. Okay, everybody has those days, right? You wake up, you bust out like all this stuff in your house, right? Like, let's say you like knock out the bathrooms, like every laundry, you make all that, like you just have a super productive day, right? And so what happens at the end of that day? you feel so
pretty
high,
good.
right? You're
Oh
just
yeah.
powered. You're calling your sister, your BFF. You're like, I got so much done today. This is amazing. Like, I love days like this. I feel so good, right? And so that is a perfect example of the impact that decluttering has on your life. Like, that doesn't have to be something that we do. I mean, yeah, we can have more productive days than others, but we can do that in our life. We can create that feeling
Yeah.
of motivation and inspiration, and just that we're on that high because we don't have that clutter. We just got rid of clutter,
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
and what you're saying here is actually there's a lot of science behind this as well. I'm terrible at remembering names. Everyone knows this, but there is I think there's a TED talk and there's something else that actually specifically does research about how the human goal, a lot of people are like, the goal is to be happy, the goal is to be happy, and
Right.
the research actually shows that the goal isn't necessarily happiness, in the sense that happiness is this blissfulness where it just everything's a vacation all the time.
Right.
That in truth, what humans seem to thrive on is overcoming, not necessarily accomplishment, not to be confused with accomplishment, right? Because
Yeah.
that can become its own like idol, right? So
Right.
we go into overcoming. And so when we are able to see a challenge and we're able to get through it and past it, whether that is something very difficult through life or it's getting all the dishes and the laundry done,
Right.
there is there's a like our serotonin levels, everything start to increase, just a sense of joy, right?
Yes.
So like, guys, this is real serious science-backed stuff here.
Yeah,
this is happiness
totally.
that Heather is serving up for you guys right here, with a lot behind it, that it really is this accomplishment. That's our not accomplishment. I be careful with that word, but this overcoming
achievement.
that really,
It's an achievement.
brings this through. And I know for myself, sometimes when I'm just like overwhelmed at the desk and just frustrated, usually with MailChimp, and just gotta change them. That's a whole other decluttering thing.
Yes,
and so
yes.
I take a break, and my breaks a lot of times are actually cleaning. And my husband thinks I'm crazy. He's like, why don't you just sit down? And honestly, the reason is because when I can go in and I can clean off a counter or get the kitchen straightened up or something, there's an immediate sense of like, there's a beginning and an end. I can see the results, the fruit of my labor immediately. And it's like, and it's done. It's like a small win. I get this small win in the midst of a frustrating day. And it really kind of helps reset where I'm at. And I'm like, okay, this feels nice. Let's go back to the chaos at my desk right now. So that, I mean, there's so much in that. I love it. Yeah. So where did we go after this, when we found out, okay, we've cleaned some stuff up and we're getting it organized? What else are you working with clients to do?
So from there, it's getting focused. That's the next step. So you're getting rid of some clutter, and then it's mind clutter in terms of once you get past like the physical environment, that takes a little bit longer to hash through, right? The belief systems that cluttering up your mind, lies that are covering up your mind, cluttering up your mind. That's the kind of stuff that we start to work on. And
so now we've uncovered the surface clutter. We're getting a lot deeper. Okay, well, we're going to take a break. So we'll come back and we'll dive into that a little bit, learn more about how Heather can guide us and help us into getting to that stuff. So at our last break, guys, as we're moving forward, another step to changing your mindset here is to check out the United Intentions Foundation Seeds of Intention and Sprouts of Intention Daily Planner Duo to organize your thoughts and intentions. You can check those out by clicking the Shop Now on the uimedianetwork.org website. So check this out and come right back. How fitting was that last commercial, guys? Fix your brain, fix your pain. So that is basically what we are learning right here as well with Heather. So welcome back to My Design Life. I'm Tanya, MFK, and we are learning how decluttering is affecting us and how clutter is affecting us and how decluttering can help us. So Heather, we wanted to learn a little more, like after we've gotten kind of through the surface level of our decluttering. You said you kind of dive in a little more. Just tell us kind of how you work with clients.
Yeah. So So we start by, just talking about all the clutter that we have, right? We get a lot in there, especially as entrepreneurs and business owners. There's a lot of stuff that affects our mind as we go into business. And so we kind of have to weed through it all, right? Um, and so I get down to really the belief system. Like what is your focus on, right? And include in regards to your belief system. Is it on, we've got negative thoughts, we've got, lies from the enemy that we've been engaging in conversation with, right? That we believe, and then we've got beliefs that have been projected onto us, through our environment growing up, our parents, our spouses, just different people over the years. And so we have this belief system. And however, when you're trying to be a better, you, right? When you're trying to have a better life, a better business, then we have to shift our focus off of the things that are having a negative impact on that, right?
Yeah.
And so just in the way that clutter physically affects your success outwardly, the mental clutter of this false belief system affects your success, I guess inwardly, business wise and success wise, right? Which, yes, also affects you outwardly. Like it affects your profit and your.
Yes, all those things are very real too. But it does start inside. And I think that's an important part to bring back, is that, the belief systems, the limited beliefs, the things that we do believe, a lot of times we don't even realize that we have them, because we didn't necessarily make conscious choices to believe them. A lot of times they were either through family beliefs or things that we were told, or things that have come through situations that we have interpreted and said, this must be the truth of that. But rarely are they like conscious, like, these are my beliefs. So we write them down and they're a big list. And so we don't second guess them. Yeah. We don't even think about them. We're not even aware of them sometimes. So it's so important to even know what they are, and to realize like, oh, you're right. Like we just talked with our last guest before, was about money. And they said there's so many beliefs about money we never consciously thought about, and go, oh, money's hard to get, or money's greedy, or money's not something you talk about. And why do I believe that? When did I make that choice to believe that? And more times than not, we didn't. Right. So it's the same thing with clutter, or where the house is supposed to be, or where your desk's supposed to look, or how a business is supposed to be run. It's supposed to be chaotic. It looks like Wall Street. Everyone's yelling.
Right.
For whatever reason, we think those things. And so to bring those back up, identify them, question them. And then after you've done that, and then you start to identify what you want them to be, right? What I want to say should be, but I guess you're instilling new ways of thinking, right?
Yeah. So I have a process, and it's, you break up with it. Okay. So so these are like bad seeds. That's how I want you to think of them. Okay. You've got these bad seeds, right? Just like how I said, you've got those environmental triggers. It's the same in your business, right? But we're just going to call them bad seeds, right? Because they trigger us without realizing it. And so you've got these bad seeds. You've got to break up with the bad seed, right? You got to break up with this belief system, right? You got to break up with this thing that's taking up clutter in your mind. Okay. And then you've got to pluck it out of the dirt. Okay. And this is where most of us need support, because it is very hard to find, like we can dig around, and most of us do, but it's hard to find it and dig it, and actually pluck it out of the dirt. So we pluck it out of the dirt, then we replace it with a new seed. Okay. But that's still not where the breakthrough happens. You still don't have a breakthrough just from planting a new seed. The breakthrough doesn't come until you water that seed. Okay. It's watering that seed that makes it grow. And so I think so much of the time we just dismiss mindset work as, oh, well, I got more important things to do. Like I need another strategy for my business, or I just don't know that magic
it's just
thing
positive
yet.
thinking.
Right. Yeah. It's just fluff. Right. But it's not. And it's also straight from the word of God. Like scripture says, like, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So what you're thinking about yourself, that is who you are right now. So if you want to be somebody different, like and I don't mean change who you are, but I do in a way, like, do you want to be a successful version of you? Because the person you are now is not going to be the same person you are when you are super successful, when you have this dream business of yours, right? We can always go further than we are right now. Always. We just get to choose, like, do I want to do the work to get there? And it's not about the work. It's about, okay, I need to like decide that I'm going to break up with this bad seed. I need to remove it. I need to plant a new one. I need to water it. So then everything else can fall in place,
Yeah.
And it's amazing how without that, it's so much clutter.
Yeah. Well, and more times than not, I mean, it's not, I like that you said it's not the work. And what she means by that, guys, is not the one sitting at your desk and doing the emails and that kind of stuff. It's the inner work. It's really getting to the thing where what you believe, what you think, how you are dealing with the clutter around you, all of that, because that is, we actually have very little work we need to do. Most of us, 99% of us are working way more than we need to. We think there's this hustle mentality, the hustle, repeat, never sleep mentality. And there's so much evidence coming out, thankfully, so much evidence coming out, showing us that the highly successful people are coming from people who are sleeping more, people who are working less, people who are taking breaks, that they're spending time with their family, that are balanced in their mindset, right? Like you go and interview, there's a bazillion articles out there, go top CEO habits, and none of them, other than Elon Musk, who I have pick a bone with anyway about his poor habits, is, says that he doesn't sleep. They all are sleeping. They're all resting. They're all working on mindset. They're meditating or praying or whatever thing that they're engaging in. It's not working 24/7. It's the other work that allows them to come in. And when they do sit in front of that desk, that work is focused, productive, efficient, and clear. And that, right? Absolutely. And tell me, Rama, I think that's what Heather's talking about, right?
Yes.
That's the thing.
People are amazed when I tell them, I'm like, I only work about 12 to 14 hours a week. Like, that's it. Sometimes less, like, unless we're in like a, live launch or something, then I'll work a little bit more.
But it happens. But it's that's the thing. It should be a season, not
and it should be prepared for.
Yeah.
We should not ever fall into just hustling, like that's, and again, we get into that mode because of all the clutter that's making us feel like we're behind.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, Heather, before my last question, can you please tell everyone where they can find you and what you have going on?
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me at www.godinbusiness.com. I am the CEO and the founder of the God in Business movement. So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, and I work with women of God, amazing women of God that want to have a thriving, successful business. And in order to do that, you got to get some things out of the way. Like I want people
you guys got some work to do.
Yeah. And it's fun. I enjoy it. I love it. And I've got the Focus Accelerator that is open right now, which is funny because we're talking, that word has come up a lot, and there's a reason for that, right? Because there's so much power in focus, and you can either focus on the wrong things and have a negative impact on your success, or you can focus on the right things and have a positive impact on your success. But you're having one or the other right now. Like everything you're doing is in either having a negative or a positive impact. So we just want to make sure that you're focused on the right thing at the right time for the right reason.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and for my last question, what is your plan for me to do this week to design my best life with decluttering?
Okay. Well, see, I know that you're really organized anyway. And so my thought was, I bet that you have got some hidden clutter, right? So behind the scenes in your tech. Yes. And so what I would love to see you do is to start filtering through your emails and decluttering that so that you can eliminate some of that clutter and that stress when you go to open your inbox. And that way you're really focused on what needs your attention in that moment. And you're not wasting time, right? You're not wasting time. And then you're not feeling behind and having that stress and that anxiety created because, of unnecessarily feeling behind.
Got it. Okay. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to one up it a bit, guys. I'm going to try to commit this week to cleaning out my MailChimp because it is painfully messy. All the audiences I have, if any of you use MailChimp, I have like 20 duplicate audiences, and then I can't delete them. I am going to try to do that this week as well, because it causes so much anxiety. And if my assistant hears me say, I hate MailChimp one more time, they're probably going to quit. So I'm going to do that.
I have to do that too. You'll feel amazing.
I have to do it. Oh my goodness. So awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to be on it. You stick around, guys. We're going to be talking with Heather all week on our Instagram. So thank you so much for being here. And
thank you
just hanging
so
out.
much for having me. I loved it.
Awesome.
I loved it. Thank you so much. Yay. It's been a privilege.
Oh, I love it. Well, if you don't mind, hang out while we wrap this up. And I just want to thank you, everyone else out there, for being here with us. And I do have my assignment this week. So if you want to follow along with the assignment, let us know how it's going by tagging us at My Design Life Show and using the hashtag clutterless, or simply watch how it goes for me on the Instagram page at My Design Life Show. And if you do like this and you want to see more, don't miss a thing by subscribing to one of our channels, or better yet, get on our email list to get show updates, highlights, guest giveaways, replays, and more. You can find everything at mydesignlife.show, tanyamfk.com, or just reach out to me at tanyamfk. All right, guys, thanks again for being here. And remember, your someday starts today. Make it the best. I'm Tanya MFK. See you next time.
Thank you for joining us at My Design Life. Catch us every other Monday at 3 p.m. EST. Follow us at Tanya MFK, My Design Life Show, United Intentions Foundation, and UI Media Network. Do you have methods, tips, or hacks to live your best life? Be a guest on our show. Contact us at mydesignlife.show to submit an application.